Welcome back to the Smugglers Den. This is episode 39. I'm your host, Tiny Grimes, fresh back from Gencon, almost fully recovered. Got a little bit of the con crud going on. I'd like to thank swdestiny.com for hosting the Smugglers Den. As always, you can go to Patreon, Tiny Grimes. There's Nova coming up. In my coaching tier, we're talking about some Rainbow Nines. I know Joe doesn't want the secret list roaming around, but, you know, a couple of people behind a little Patreon thing. Joe doesn't know what goes on behind there. He doesn't know anything about that. So I'd like to welcome in my co-host. Oh, right, he might tell Joe. I heard you got second place at Gen Con, Mike. What's going on? Hyperloops couldn't send me their best player, so they sent me you in their place?
I am the mouthpiece of the Hyperloop, so if you want to deal with anyone, unfortunately, you've got to deal with me. So Joe won't get down off his throne to go on some podcast.
Especially not this one.
Can't even get him to do a Hyperloop podcast. So.
Oh, man. So how does it feel to be the first loser, man?
I kind of echo your sentiments from the other day. It doesn't feel as bad as I thought it was going to be to lose, but I'm pretty happy with my weekend. The difference in prizes between first and second are pretty, there's a pretty huge gap, so that kind of kicks me in the nards a little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, I feel okay. I'm over it.
I feel like the difference between second and top 8 is a very small difference. Like, you either win or you get top 8. What did you get that I don't have?
I think I got a confirmed seat at Worlds,
which I might not be able to go to. Okay.
Okay. I think that's it. There might have been something. What? I know. We tried to arrange a prize split, but FFG is sort of. We're still waiting to hear. Like, FFG isn't like, yeah, split whatever you want.
Right.
Because I think behind the scenes, Joe's trying to get me the flight, and we were gonna split the card design. So I think he's not being amazingly greedy or anything. He's being cool, but they didn't really give us an option to do whatever we wanted, sort of the way other premier card tournament structures allow you to do.
Yeah. I think you should have taken the trophy home, then Joe gets to design the card, and then people are like, oh, you got first. You're like, no, I got second.
This isn't my trophy exactly. I actually loved the trophy, and I wanted it really bad. And the plaque that I got is just like the store championship plaque. And it's kind of as depressing as the store championship plaque because my wife made me put it in a drawer when I get home.
Oh,
she said, no.
Right. What does that say, honey? Second place? Losers go in the drawer.
Finalist? Isn't everyone a finalist?
I mean, kind of. This is like a little medal you get for showing up. Put it in the drawer, honey. Put it in the drawer.
Actually, she doesn't even know about the medal yet. Wait till we get those in the mail. Then I'm gonna actually wear that thing in bed.
I'll tell you what, man. You fly out to LA and I'll do a medaling ceremony for you since FFG did not. That was such a cool idea too, right? We're gonna do a ceremony and put medals on you all. Sorry, we left him back in Minneapolis.
Yeah, we all get the Chewbacca treatment. No medals. Yeah. No medals for us.
That's hilarious. To me, that sums up FFG's organized play department so beautifully. We have a good idea?
Yeah,
we didn't do it.
We didn't pull it off. They said it was they were misprinted, but who knows?
Bobby forgot to put them in the box. They're like, Bobby, you idiot!
God damn it!
Oh well, Bobby screwed up. Well, Mike, I think this is our chance to out ourselves. People probably didn't know this, but the Hyperloops and I sort of combined forces, at least for this event. Hopefully moving forward as well. When did we decide to combine forces, Mike? I don't even remember.
It had to have been at least for the registration, because we were I remember texting you the when the carts emptied so that you can try and hit refresh at the right time.
Oh, yeah,
so I feel like we were working together then, and I know I listened back. It was after I was on your podcast after your sabbatical, and I know I kind of casually said, we're working together. So it was at least 6 weeks ago to 2 months ago.
Yeah.
But I think 2, maybe even 3 months ago, we had planned on it, working together. And that, it started casually because, there was still store championship season going on.
Right.
And who knew how things were going to shake out. But obviously over the last 3-4 weeks, we were hardcore teaming.
Yeah. I think it worked out really well. I mean, when you get 3 people in the top 8. So this is the hardest part for me, Mike. You and Joe get to be first and second. We both just lost to Joe, Mike. It wasn't like I lost to somebody else. I just lost to him earlier than you did. It's a bunch of bull.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of like having to dodge people. When you have like the bigger your team gets, the more you have to dodge. And we're just lucky that we didn't get all three of us on the side of the same bracket, on the same side of the bracket rather, because I've been there in other games, just like we just have to mow each other down and hope to win the finals, and then not gotten there in the finals, and it's like was this even worth it? But I'm glad that we were on opposite sides, and obviously I'm glad that you or Joe was going to top four, and then I'm obviously glad that I 2-0'd all my non-Joe the top 16 opponents.
I did too,
and got to the finals.
I did too. I 2-0'd all my non-Joe opponents. It's just there was only one.
Yeah, no, Joe's good.
Yeah, I was really happy though. I agree with that sentiment that it was like when I saw Joe and I were paired in the top 8, and you were on the other side of the bracket. I was like, we're gonna do well here. Minimum, Mike scrubs out. Joe or I are making it to the Final Four, and I doubt Mike's going to scrub out. And then you didn't, and you guys ended up meeting the finals, so that was amazing.
Yeah,
how did it feel making the finals? I know coming in you had said, I just want to make the final table and then see where the chips fall.
Yeah, so I kind of had the same feeling as you. When we got to day 16, I was like, holy crap, that was like really difficult. I can't believe that we're here, but like let's make the most of it. And then I actually hate knowing what matchups I have coming up. Like I'm glad to see the deck list before, but like I didn't really like going to bed knowing I was facing Vader and then like an auto Pomaz if I beat Vader. And Vader was one of the decks that we didn't want to play against just because Vader can be so strong. So I didn't I tried not to let it get in my head at all. And even going after the first round of play against Vader where I had done 0 damage, I was like, oh my God, I'm getting embarrassed right now. And obviously I was able to pull it out and that was great. But going in, being in second, the best part of it for me was my games were really lopsided in the top 4 versus Phasma. Taxter playing Phasma. So I get to watch a lot of the final game of Joe versus Billingsley. And that game was insane. I don't know if you get to catch any of it, but it was like Maz with a thermal detonator coming back against Bala and FN. It was like nuts. And I couldn't see because of the crowd, and I was standing on a chair, and I was like fist pumping and like jumping up. Like I was more excited that it was going to be me and Joe than I didn't really have a chance to be like, oh crap, here I am. I was way more excited when I went 7-1 the day before for myself.
Yeah, me too. That main event, man, I just want to put this out there. Is that the hardest Star Wars Destiny field we've had yet?
Unfortunately, I think so. I mean, the fact that it was that many people and it was 8 rounds, 35 minutes, no breaks. Like as soon as Lucas announced the pairings were up, we had exactly 2 minutes to get to our table in that
crazy.
crowd. I don't know how well Heroes was run, but that was calamity, and that's why I always camped by the board. I bolted to my table. I got my headphones on. I cleared my mind of anything that was going on around me and just shuffled for 3 minutes before every round just to not get caught up in that. But that also it didn't necessarily give me time to breathe. But in terms of the quality of the player, I know a lot of people dropped, but there were also a lot of good players, and a lot of those good players rose to the top.
Yeah.
Even in just in the 6 and 2. Look at all the people who went 6 and 2 that were good. So I think it was a really good field, and I think if FFG continues to open up the registration to a great number of people and not restrict it like Worlds was, we're going to be able to continually say the best competition's coming, even if not everyone makes every trip. Yeah. There's going to be a dense enough top player population that these tournaments are going to be respectable, and this is Gencon is exactly what I wanted out of a high-level Destiny tournament.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, it was just littered with amazing players. When round 2, I was paired up with a guy that I knew very well who had gotten top 16 or top 8 even at Worlds. I was like, this is going to be a long day. This is going to be a really long day.
Yeah, and I think we both had a good mix of really tough matches versus really good players, and then the random match that was probably a little bit easier than we expected given the round.
Yeah, it's
so that
funny.
helps too, at least for me.
I feel like I only had the one first round was Maz Commando Churret turn 1 R2D2, And I was like, okay,
Yeah, I didn't face any chariots or
that's my
artificers,
freebie. This is my freebie.
all my decks were definitely real, but I faced some people who, played, missed some pretty important stuff.
I got you. I don't feel like I played against anyone who missed important things, and they were all real decks. It's just I had some decent matchups. I played against the Phasma deck, which was nice. I did have in my final game, the win and you're in game, my opponent was playing a really interesting Elite Kylo 9's Trooper deck and just rolled like garbage. Just rolled flat garbage. And I was like, all right, I think I win this no matter what I do. So Mike, I felt so bad at this one spot, right? He's been rolling garbage all game. I haven't been rolling good. I've just been rolling normal. But I finally get a great roll, and I've got like 8 damage sitting there. And I spend, I'd say, 5 minutes staring at my dice, trying to figure out who do I kill in this matchup. I've never played this matchup. I've never thought about this matchup. I finally got a big pile I can just chunk on someone. Kylo has 2 shields on him. And so I'm really thinking. And then while I'm thinking, I have this voice in the back of my head going, "You're such a jerk, man. He's been rolling trash this whole game, and you're gloating over your god roll here like an idiot. Just make a decision already."
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when it's hard to see the forest through the trees, right? You've got to be respectful of that, but you also can't F it up. Like, you can't put the damage on the wrong guy and screw it up, but you take as long as you have.
Yep.
I get it, though. It's painful when you're rolling hot. And they're not. It's like, man, I don't know what to say here because my rocket launcher just rolled 3 4s in a row on the same round. So
get wrecked.
Yeah, get wrecked.
But, so we both went 7-1. I think that's a pretty darn good achievement considering the depth of the field, considering it's Destiny. 7-1 in a Destiny tournament is not easy to do.
Yeah, not at all. Especially, like I said, with the rapid fire, with the no break, it was an endurance trial as much as it was, a trial of mental acumen. So, yeah, I'm super ecstatic just to make day 2. I know a lot of people kind of have been but some people didn't really the tournament structure because they kept considering the day 2, a day 2, like just the top, like a top 16, top 8 bracket. Mm-hmm. But for me, I always was considering like you had to go X and 1 to do it.
Yep.
I took my loss in the 3rd or 4th round to like a good player, and I buckled down. I said I can't lose again, and that's the way I approached the whole tournament, and just did my best to not lose, including, some insane FN plays when, having to do 14 damage in a single round and getting there.
Yeah, I don't think I heard. How did your loss go? Who was it against? What deck and what happened?
It was Lassie, who's one of the Artificery guy. He writes for Artificery, LASCI. He was playing FN. He was playing Rainbow Nines, but with Salvage Stand, and he got Salvage Stand and Aftermath on the table in the first round, and then the second Aftermath in the second round. So he was taking my resources and getting 2, and that was round 2 was when both Balas and both Night Sisters died. But he just clawed so far ahead. His FN going into round 3 had 3 weapons on him, and mine had 1. Yeah. So I had to do everything I could just to get his guys off the table, but in the end I couldn't get there. I think he boundlessed against me, and I didn't get a boundless, so I think that also hurt. But those are the small margins in the FN mirror. Is did you get the Aftermaths? Did you get your boundless? And then for him to have Salvage Stand on top of that was just like, it just Salvage Stand is not a card that we took, like, we considered, but not too heavily. But I mean, if I had faced more mirrors, I would have really regretted not playing something like Salvage Stand.
Yeah, Salvage Stand's one of those awesome cards that doesn't fit when your deck's already 30 and could already be 34.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my loss was against Brian Lindbergh in round 5. I think he went undefeated for the day. He played Paul Maz, and he went Thermal Detonator damage, turn 1. Turn 2, Thermal Detonator damage, Planetary Uprising, turn 2. And, I got rolled.
Actually, I think that's the guy Joe faced in the Final Four, right?
I think so.
I said Billingsley, but I meant Lindbergh.
Yeah. He was a good player, and I clawed back, and it was, from my perspective, I made it a game. I think from his perspective, it was a whooping. So, But that was my only loss, and made it through. And I know I have this sickness where you're either first or you're garbage.
Yeah.
But it extends to you either make the cut or you tied for last when there's like 400 people.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had not made the cut, if I'd gone 6-2 and not made the cut, and people said, how'd you do? I would have said, I got last. But making the cut, you know, I can be satisfied making the cut, losing to Joe, a teammate, the champion. He's better at that deck than me. I can admit that. There we go. I admitted it. Joe's better at Rainbow Nines than me.
That's a good comeback after like your CCG tournament body dysmorphia parallel that you have there. Like you can only see last place no matter how closely you look in the mirror.
Yeah, that's kind of bad. Like you said, you just stick the second place thing in the drawer. Whatever, it's garbage.
Yeah.
Like I got my Luke playmat. I'm just like, whatever. I don't care what it says on it. It doesn't say champion. I just threw it up on a shelf.
Yeah, mine's in the drawer. It's never seeing the light of day ever again.
I showed it to my daughter even, and even she was like, "It says top 8." Like, so. Like,
Actually,
well
having
played.
one that says top 8 isn't bad because you could probably sell that thing. I don't think I could sell my one that says second.
Why not?
Because then I'll be exposed. People will know it was me, I guess, if they look
That's
hard
fine.
enough.
So what? You got to pay for Gencon somehow. You can't just, you know, do gigolo work all night. You got to do something.
That's true. I was going to sell my X-Wing swag, but I guess I could just sell all my Star Wars swag.
All right,
swag
I want
guys.
to talk about real quick our testing process because I thought it's kind of cool and it's nothing secret. It's really neat. What we did is we all just kind of tested our own stuff independently and then would come back and play games with each other and talk about changes until we got really close to the end. And so it was like, I was the fun car guy. I thought of you as the Paul Maz guy. Joe was the Rainbow Nines guy. And Nick was like the madman. He was like, I'm Poe Ray. I'm this deck. I'm this deck. And I was like, I don't know what's going on with Nick. Nick, if you find a busted deck, let me know.
Well, that's exactly what I looked at it as. Like me, Pomaz, you, Funkar, Joe Rainbow, and then Nick was sort of just exhausting all resources. Like he knew that those were the big three, and he was just doing his diligence on a bunch of decks that, you know, I never played. Like I never picked up Poe Ray. I never picked up Emo Kids. I didn't pick up Plut Pilots. And, you know, he did work on all those, and he did serious work to try and improve the lists and get games against other good players. So I think it was all part of the process, and there were times when I needed to know how things went in a certain matchup, and Nick was absolutely able to answer the questions for me because I hadn't faced it. I hadn't faced a Poe Maz either, you know. I mean, not Poe Ray either.
Yeah. He almost convinced me to play Poe Ray after just destroying me a couple times. I was like, oh my god, does that thing lose anything? And then lucky Nick was able to be like, yeah, it loses the following decks. And I was like, okay, I can't lose to those decks. I can't play that deck.
Yeah, but it's good against the good decks. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Poe Ray, I mean, when Nick won his store championship, he beat Joe twice. Joe was playing Rainbow. Like, it's pretty legit. It was the only, like, I think Joe only lost it to two store championships, and they were the ones that I won and the ones that Nick won. The one that I won, the one Nick won.
Interesting. And Joe threw these, right? Because he felt bad for you guys?
I wasn't at the one that Nick won, but I know that Thermal Detonator had something else to say to Joe in those games.
That's not what Joe told me, but that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
that can be.
Well, that was
guys.
He hadn't won one yet, so I think he had won 6 by the time Nick won one. But I won the first one. I won one on the very first weekend.
Oh, you won the first one before Joe won one?
Oh yeah, and then I didn't go to another one. So
nice.
I mean, we could say that he only won because I never attended another store
You know what? Not we could say. We will say.
I just did say that. I doubt Joe listens to this, so whatever.
Yeah,
Take it, Joe.
The only reason Joe won a single store championship is because Mike was busy. There we go.
Yeah, I was super busy playing X-Wing.
There you go. All right. So it was a fun process, I thought. We all kind of played our decks. I played quite a bit of Rainbow Nines as well. I played it at a store champ and won, and played it like 4 other local tournaments. And the whole time it was really bad because I realized it was very good, right? And so people would be like, "What's that list you're playing?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's some worse version of Fun Car. Just trying it out." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I felt like kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
I didn't want to reveal Joe's secret list.
It's hard being a
tough.
content provider and then needing to smoke screen before a big event.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is a conversation that's being had all over the internet. Following the Artificery tournament in Gen Con.
Yeah.
Just like, and I get it, and I think a lot of people's, we've talked about this a ton. A lot of people's perspective is they just want to go and they want to play on the weekend and they want to enjoy it and they want to know what the good players are playing and play that too and try it out. But for us, like, we're trying to win and only win, and we want to go and win Worlds. We want to go and win Gen Con. So we can't just, we can't just sacrifice that want to win, because if I'm playing for fun, I don't have fun playing Destiny. I'm not playing Destiny if it's just for fun.
Yeah. I will say I put out a tier list about 2 days before the event and completely nailed it. My tier 1 was just Polmaz and Rainbow Nines. Tier 2, all the way to tier 2, I put Fun Car, Emo Kids, and Palpatine. I was like, none of these will compete. None of them will make it anywhere. And I was right, man. I nailed it.
Yeah. And Joe was right when he called Rainbow Nines the God tier.
He definitely was. He was definitely right on that one. And by the way, remember when I said Boundless Ambition would win Worlds? I meant Worlds and Gen Con. That's what I meant.
As much as it pains me to give you credit.
Remember that? And people were like,
yeah,
"You're
no,
an idiot,
I'm not
Tiny
going
Grimes.
to. I decided I'm not going to finish that sentence.
Boundless sucks, Tiny Grimes. You're an idiot." I may be an idiot. That is still up for debate, but I was right about Boundless.
Those things are not mutually exclusive.
All right, Mike.
Yeah.
So what else did you do at Gen Con? Did you just play Destiny? What else did you do?
Yeah, I played the cash qualifiers on Thursday. I did really well in the night. Like, I 5-0'd the night one, and I felt really good about Rainbow Nines. Like, I know people were wavering, and there was the second of doubt on the night of. But then I played the X-Wing North Americans, and I day 2'd. But I played one round and dropped to kind of get mentally prepped for the Destiny event, and that was great because even the games I got on Saturday morning before the main event happened, I learned so much in those games. Playtesting against good players is so helpful. Even if you go to a con, there were a bunch of people over the weekend who was like, "Hey, can I get a couple games of Destiny with you?" And that was great. I think it helped. I know it helped. Like, one random guy we met in top 16 because we helped him with his list.
That was amazing, by the way. That was amazing. He'd never played Rainbow Nines before.
He showed up with Leia Mothma. Leia Mon Mothma.
Yep. And Joe's like, "Listen, man, this is stupid. Don't be stupid. Play Rainbow Nines." And he's like, Joe's pretty aggressive.
Calm down, Joe. But yeah, so I only played Destiny and X-Wing. I wasn't really there for the con experience. I went for the tournaments.
Yeah, I played Destiny from 4 o'clock on Thursday all the way through. So I played Thursday in some qualifiers. Friday, qualified for the 500, got bounced by, some crazy stuff. I was actually, I forgot. I should say this. Friday, I played Polmaz all day. I was wavering on the Rainbow Nines. I know Rainbow Nines is awesome, but so is Polmaz. So what I decided to do, Mike, Friday was the purge. Either I'm going to lock in my Polmaz deck with retreats and hyperspace jumps that just wrecks Rainbow Nines if it draws them. Or I'm going to get wrecked and be like, screw Polmaz, I hate this deck. And it did great. I made the $500 qualifier. I would roll Poe, nothing. I'd roll Maz, no focus, no nothing. And 3 rounds in, I had claimed once to do a thermal or something and got completely blown out. And I was like, yep, I hate when Polmaz does this. I am not playing Polmaz.
Yeah, I think obviously you made the right choice. But even, I was impressed. We were nabbing games in between rounds of the cash tournaments. And you were steamrolling me with Polmaz.
Yeah. That deck's real good when it works.
Yeah, when you draw those retreats, it's nasty.
That's how dialed in we were, by the way. We were like, all right, we got our round of the cash tournament. That was fast. Let's play a game or two before the next round starts.
Yeah, it really was a grind. We played from 4 till midnight nonstop on Thursday.
That's fun.
And my idea of a day of rest was playing X-Wing for 10 hours, standing and playing miniatures. And that was a great break. I was like, this is fun. I'm shooting ships. Pew, pew.
So I will say this, though. I did play, I got a hold of a ticket for the noon giant L5R event. I wanted to be a part of something cool, right? To be able to say, like, I did the first event. Now, I knew I had a cash qualifier at 4, but if I was, like, undefeated in L5R, I might have played it through. I wasn't really sure where I was going to go with it. And I don't know if you heard about this event, Mike. It was a train wreck. Like, it was a derailed train wreck, bodies everywhere. It was awful.
Yeah, you gave me some clips, and then a bunch of other friends that I have from Star Wars CCG were also at Gencon trying to do the L5R thing. I mean, even just on my way to the airport, I was shared the shuttle with guys who were complaining about it. You know, if people came from all over, like these guys crossed the pond to play the L5R thing,
Yep.
and had to get like severely demolished. Like they got wrecked hard.
Yeah, it's hard because FFG basically did what FFG does, right? They had a cool idea and they just didn't execute, right? So they were like, all right, we're gonna do what L5R players like. We're gonna have a parade and cheers and chants and speeches, and we're gonna start an hour late, and that's all gonna take 3 hours, and you still haven't seen your core set yet. And then here's your core set. You have 20 minutes to learn the rules to this incredibly deep game and build a deck, by the way. Good luck!
Yeah, the fact that was the deck building process is insane, especially when you saw pictures of people opening the product, and it was like hundreds of cards.
Yeah. Oh, and they were like, the hilarious thing with how they designed the set, when they put it together, is like, there's crab cards here, and there's crab cards there, and there's crab cards. You can't even, like, find all the crab cards easily. Oh,
yeah,
man.
That's nuts.
It was a debacle. I decided, you know what? I haven't even played a round yet, so I'm gonna have to drop. And so I decided at 3:58 I'm gonna drop and sprint over to the other place to play the cash event. And I almost won my first game, but I wasn't able to get it done in time. And right as I'm like on the cusp of beating him, I stick out my hand, and he looks at me and he's like, "Whoa! I'm not conceding." And I was like, "No, I'm conceding." And he was stunned. And then I just checked off the box that said drop and said, "See ya," and ran down the hall. And he was just like, "I don't know who this maniac is, but I won a game."
Glory. All the glory.
Oh, man. But yeah, that to me, that event perfectly summed up FFG. And I think it must put a terrible fear into all these L5R players who are like, the best thing about L5R is the OP aspect of it, and the story, and all this awesome stuff. And look, FFG is really trying hard. Oh, they just suck at this kind of thing. Oh, that's truly unfortunate. They forgot their medals.
FFG doesn't care.
They do too many speeches. Oh, no.
They don't care about your tournament experience.
And the thing is, sometimes they do. They just still suck at it, even when they care. That's the scary part. If they just didn't care, you'd be like, listen, this is not their focus. But with L5R, they're like, we're going to make this our focus. Oh, right. We're just bad at it. That stinks.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, I feel like we could say a ton about FFG in tournaments.
Yeah.
I feel like we've talked a lot about that.
All right. One other thing I did, Mike. I went to the dealer hall.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the dealer hall twice, actually. The first time, I spent 2 minutes in there looking for sleeves and bought some. The second time, I went with our friend Chris, and he had to go to the FFG booth. So instead of wandering around the hall, I went and got a demo game of Destiny in.
Like, they had demo decks, like you played the starter?
Oh, yeah. There was an FFG employee there, and I sat down and said, "Hey there, can I get a game?" Knowing there was no promos. It wasn't like I got duped. I just wanted to play a game with the starter deck, see how it went. My goal was to mill him.
Who's the other dark starter character? I don't even know.
It's Kylo Trooper, I believe.
Oof.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I was Ray. Turn 1, I played, what's his face, BB-8, and I was all set to wreck him. And I started milling him.
Game.
And then Chris came up, and he was like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, I'm getting a demo game. He's like, well, since you already know how to play and we have other things to do, how about you stop doing the demo game? And I was like, that's fair. So, yeah.
You should have like been able to, if you could go back in time and whip out your top 8 Luke playmat. Go get a demo.
Yeah.
You should do that.
You mind if I use my
Boot
playmat?
up your flex capacitor.
Here we go. Yeah, so that was fun. That was basically for me, Gen Con was a train wreck L5R event, and then Destiny. Just the whole way. Those cash qualifiers, by the way, I gotta say, Arthur ran them really well, and with how many there were, I was really impressed. So there's this big fear, right, of like, oh God, there's cash involved. People are gonna be total a-holes. No, they weren't. You know what they were instead? Serious and brought real deal decks. And so it was amazing testing grounds. It was like 3 straight days of going up against all of the best decks to prepare you for the main event. It was like a dream.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. I mean, I got so many Pomaz reps in those rounds, and I faced Pomaz 3 times on day 1, and then again in the top 16, and just getting those extra reps versus Pomaz was excellent.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that whole area that he had. Like, the people were just hanging out playing Destiny for 2 straight days. It was
amazing.
It was great to go. You could always go get a game.
Yep. And I gotta say, I did what I came there to do. I made the cut in all the events I played in. So I made the cut of the 500 and got, Destinied. I made the cut for the 1,000, and Mike, I was 10 minutes off. If Joe had just beaten me slightly faster, I could have a big pile of cash in my pocket right now.
Lose better, Tiny.
And then I got top 8 at Gen Con. So
yeah, I qualified. I made the cut in those cash events and had to skip them for the main events. So that was kind of a bummer. It was kind of like a throwaway of money, but it was worth the testing. So I'll take it.
Yeah, it's funny because it was me, you, and Joe are all
time.
like near the top of the bracket in that 1K challenge, just like cross, random scrub, you're in. It shouldn't say random scrub. What I meant to say was random person who didn't actually qualify for the tournament got to be bumped in. They may be amazing. I don't know. No.
Yeah, well, they can send me money if they want.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so that's Gen Con. I want to talk about the metagame coming out of Gen Con. So I released a video going in saying the meta is not broken. Coming out, I don't know if I agree with my own video anymore. What do you think?
Yeah, it's in a really tough spot. I think that, there are a bunch of, I think that tier 2, if there was no tier 1, tier 2 would be massive. But the Pomaz and the Rainbow, they really separate themselves in terms of the brokenness that goes on. Just the thermal detonator thing. And then when you combine it with the retreat, so you can't even, you used to be able to just play a slow deck and maximize actions. And then, people discovered that retreat and jump are just perfect fits for the Pomaz, and they take that away. So that you can't even just play a slower game and maximize the amount of actions you take, because you get those ripped from you. So, and you're playing a so slow that you don't even get to take a turn sometimes. You get completely time walked, which is just completely unfair. And then obviously FN, good example is one of my rounds versus Pomaz. This guy killed my Night Sister and Mbalo before they get to activate in round 2, and there was no round 3 because FN did all the work himself with 2 boundless ambitions. And that's not fair either. You should have, when you claim with 14 health, you should expect to go in, and against one character, you should expect round 3. You should expect to win that game.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's sort of gotten into this point where an FN deck doesn't get less powerful necessarily, no matter how many guys you kill. And then Pomaz just being able to be super fast. It's just, those 2 decks are super not fair.
Yeah, I feel like what we learned from the event, and this is what I feel like I learned about 3 days before the event when I put out my new tier list, was that there was only one choice. It was burst and burst harder. All the other decks that Vader Raider is real consistent and can burst a little bit. But Pomaz and Rainbow Nines can just burst so dang hard that there's no way, there's no counterplay. Like you said, there's no, I'm going to take more actions. It doesn't matter. The game's over, round 3, period, end of story. You either burst hard or you go home.
Yeah, and even the Vader guards that are doing well, they're only doing it behind their own boundless ambitions and price of failures,
Yep.
to do their own crazy bursting. And like, that's fine,
Right.
but that's less consistent because
Yep.
it's harder to pull that off than it is to like just deploy weapons on FN or
Yeah.
draw a thermal detonator or U-wing. So you have to go through a lot of legwork, and you have to just be fortunate enough to have the right cards at the right time.
Yeah.
There's no way to just sort of like
So
make
here's
that
a question,
happen
Mike.
more consistently.
Are we right? Or is it simply that you, me, and Joe, and then that other guy who we gave the list to right before the event, all made it with
And
Rainbow
Ira.
Nines because we're all really good and tested together, and then Pol Maz has been, a known commodity for a long time, and people have been testing it for a long time, and so people knew it was good. So can we maybe say that's the answer, or is it just simply these are the two best decks?
I don't think like you can say either, but I also don't think you can like meet in the middle. I think there's a lot of that. I think these are definitely the two best decks.
Yeah.
And I think you can do, what Lindbergh, Taxter did, which is like, I mean, I know Lindbergh played Pomaz, but like play the decks you know really, really well and play them at an elite level, like a super elite level, and you
And you can still make it.
can be there's a single mistake.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen. But like if you run to someone who's got fewer mistakes, opportunity smaller, then I don't think that there's anything that bridges the gap between like Phasma and Rainbow Nines. Like Taxer's a really good player, top two worlds, top 4 Gencon. Like he's excellent.
Yeah.
But those games, and I rolled insane. I rolled insane with an insane deck.
Yeah.
Like that, his deck couldn't do that.
Yep. That's a big difference.
So I don't think that there's an answer.
Okay, so that's what I was going to come to. Is there a solution? So here's the 3 proposed solutions. 1, the solution is there actually is a solution and someone will find it for Nova. Do we think that's possible? 2, do we need to have an errata like immediately so Nova isn't just the exact same thing? Or is it 3, the cycle's almost over, Empire at War is upon us. This is sometimes how metas settle, and there's still 2 good decks, and there's still some other decks that can compete. Are we just fine with this?
Yeah, I think it's 3, and I think if any changes happen, and I feel like maybe this got talked about by FFG or Lucas at Gen Con, that when Empire at War comes out, they'll make changes. I think if they were going to errata something for Nova, they would have had to do it on Monday.
Yeah.
And they didn't, so I don't think
Yeah.
give people 1 week when they're flying all over the country to go to nationals. So
Yeah, I don't think it would have been fair to errata something even on Monday if they could, which they can't. I mean, they've been very public about this, that any changes have to go through channels, and like it would have been impossible to be like, Gen Con happened, call Lucasfilm and be like, Lucasfilm, we need a rush order on this. Like, I don't think that's a reality. And like you said, even if they could, that's so unfair. Like, oh, you've been testing for 4 months for this Nova tournament? Oh, that's all garbage. It's a whole new meta. Good luck.
yeah, I think the fact that they have to get approval from Lucasfilm for the EAW rulebook and rule change or whatever, that they'll just lump everything in there. And even if they have to say, hey, we have an amendment, but Lucas is going to make money when they release Empire at War, so they have a catalyst to go look at that and approve things in a faster manner. So even if they waited till after Gen Con to see, they can, hey, we have this rule book, we need to print it, so can you change, like, can you approve this rules change? It's important.
What do you think? Do we just slap Limit 1 on 9s and be okay with it? Or do we say, let's see how Empire at War shakes out and then sort of go from there?
No, I think you should change him. I don't know about once per turn. I mean, once per turn would help a lot. It would change a lot. He'd still be good.
I think it'd still be great, to be honest.
But I don't know. He'd still be. I mean, if it's the first weapon, like if it's once per turn, I doubt they would do once per turn. I think it would be like the first weapon played on him each turn, because it's hard to be, like, it's hard to check that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
hard
true.
to check that game state or roll back. So it would probably be the first weapon played on each turn, for just like clean gameplay sake.
Yeah,
And then,
that's not very good.
you got to play that holdout blaster. Like, do you want to roll holdout twice? No,
Yeah.
you want to roll baton twice. You want to roll rocket launcher twice. So I still think it's good later in the game, but it would definitely make him worse earlier in the game. I think what they should do. I mean, I know that they're not going to change too much, but like cost increase, health decrease. I mean, think of all the things he does too strong. His cost is too low, his health is too high, and his game text is too broken.
Yep.
The only thing they nailed on him is his die, which is the least important part.
Yeah.
He could not have a die and still be
I agree.
amazing.
What if he was 13-17? Would he be unplayable?
Math-wise, no.
I don't think
No,
so.
because you could still run a single Dybala and Night Sister
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you wanted.
Right. I still think he'd be fine. He'd be worse, but I think he'd be competitive.
Yeah, definitely worse. I mean, the deck Rainbow Nines would be worse for sure, but I mean, we could see how things play out.
Yeah. All right. So
But, I mean, it's tough to speculate.
I'm gonna have to agree. I don't think anything will happen till Empire at War. I'm a little bit torn as to what I want to happen. Like if I want this to drop with Empire at War. The problem is from what we've seen so far. Like I can't imagine a deck like Rainbow Nines just falling off the map. Like there's more weapons, and that deck is awesome. Like I don't like there's nothing in this new set where I'm like, oh, that just does the same thing only better, unless there's something we haven't seen that does.
Well, I think Hera, not Hera exclusively, but Hera with all the cheating vehicles into play thing can. The only thing is Hera's 9 health, I want to say, and FN could kill her before she goes off, and she can't kill FN before he goes off because that's 2 more damage you have to do.
Yeah.
So even then, like that equivalency doesn't exist.
Yeah. I agree.
But like Palermo only keeps Hera in check too. So you made a character broken, and you probably did all the things you should have done with FN by making her 9 health, by making her only fit in with like other low health options.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the damage is done on FN. So I don't know.
Probably some sort of errata is needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know people fall on either side of the fence. Like some people like errata, some people like bans. I don't know how I feel. Because sometimes erratas are effective bans. So, I don't know. I guess if you just errata it, let people play with the cards that they like. But, I mean, how many people are a fan of a guy who had 10 seconds of screen time and gets shot in the chest?
That's my favorite thing about our deck. Rainbow Nines is FN, Balatik, and a Night Sister. You're like... So, the garbage of the Star Wars universe got rounded up and thrown into the best deck in the game. Cool.
Yeah, I tried to explain it to people, and they were excited because I was like, oh, yeah, you can play all your favorite characters. Who do you play? Yeah. Well, I play one guy from each color, so I can fit all the different colors in the deck, and it ends up being these 3 guys you've literally never heard of.
Just like Star Wars CCG when I tried to play it, and I opened all my Cantina guys in the first set.
And you're like, Tals, that's his name?
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard this story. I tried to play the Star Wars CCG right when it came out. I bought like 10 packs. I got some rares and stuff, and they were all Cantina guys. And I was like, this game is the stupidest game I've ever seen.
Who is Feltapern Travag?
I still don't know that name, or even if that's a Star Wars character, if you just made that up.
No, it is. He's a Destiny 4 alien. Okay. Actually, one time I was at a bar with Baroni, and a woman had a bag, like a purse, like one of those large bags, and it was the entire Cantina scene, and we named every alien, and her and her boyfriend were not impressed.
Wow,
they thought we were real weird.
She's the one with a Cantina bag. Like, she should have been damn impressed.
I mean, it looked cool. I was like, you don't know who Dice Ibagon is? Come on, lady.
Come on, lady. Get with it. All right, real quick, I want to thank everyone who supported me on Patreon. Thank you so much. Your support helped me be able to get to Gencon, helped me be able to succeed. And special thanks to Cody, Jake, Steve, and Eric at the Jedi Council level. Good luck to you guys who are going to Nova. I hope you did as well as you wanted to at Gencon. And next thing I want to ask you, Mike, is do we know now who the best player in Destiny is? And I have an answer, and I'm curious what yours is. Who is the best player in Star Wars Destiny? This is going to make a lot of people mad, right? A lot of Europeans couldn't go to Worlds or Gen Con. They're going to be like, what's your problem, man?
Yeah. Also, like, it's a tough position for me because, you know, the one person you can, like, actually even try and give this title to, quote unquote title to, is my teammate.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think because he's the only person, you know, Joe, honestly sarcastic, because he's the only person that sort of boasts this resume right now. Some people come close, and I don't want to take anything away from the world champion, but I know
the
like
guy who
he's
won
sort of like a
Force Strike in his deck. I think we can take plenty away from him.
Never forget.
Never. I don't even know the guy's name, but I know he only ran 1 Force Strike. I know that
one
for a
Force
fact.
Strike guy. I think it's hard not to just sort of give Joe that title because of, you know, I think he's won the most store championships out of anyone in the world, maybe tied. He won Gen Con. He came in second and then the largest store championship in the world at the Artificery event. So like, and he has this sort of like he has a voice in the community. So it's hard. Like you couldn't name anyone else for sure.
That's an
So
interesting
does he
position.
win by default?
All right, well, I'll say this. I will say, having tested with Joe and seeing how much he puts into the game and knowing all that behind the scenes makes me much more tempted to say Joe. But I'm not going to say Joe. Joe, don't be mad. Joe, don't
Are you
be
going to say
mad.
me?
I'm going to say definitely not you.
Damn it.
I'm going to say
Definitely,
Taxter.
jeez.
Nick Obi.
Huh.
This dude got top 2 at Worlds, followed it up with top 4 at Gen Con with, let's be honest, not even a tier 1 deck. The dude was like, tier 1.5 is fine. So it doesn't burst at all. So I pretty much auto lose to all the best decks in the game. I am fine with that. I'm still going to top 4 until I run into Joe, like everybody. Stupid Joe.
Hey, I beat Taxter, not Joe.
Oh, you beat Taxter. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind that he's garbage. Just
No,
kidding.
I
I'm
think
still putting him first.
I think Taxter is right up there. I don't think you can ignore Taxter by any means. Yeah, I actually, you know what? Maybe I was trying to. The thing is, I was trying to take a non-biased approach, like knowing everything I know about Joe, having played as much as I have with Joe. Like it's easy for me to say because I see how quickly he thinks about things and how fast he is at doing the right thing and correcting me when I don't.
Yeah.
But in terms of performance,
Yep. You're changing your
you
answer to
can't-
Tiny Grimes?
definitely not. You've never even beaten Joe.
I
wait, you
did
did beat
too. I
Joe.
beat him in
Joe in
the
the cash
$500
event.
tournament to his only loss. Take that, Joe.
Well, as someone who's beaten both Taxter and Joe, I still think I'm the number one, but I can see where you're coming with
Dude, pick
Nick
yourself.
Obi.
I dare you to pick yourself.
I can see where you're coming with Nick. I'm gonna stand firm and say I still think it's Joe, but I don't think Nick is like I would love to see how Nick does with a Rainbow Nines deck. You know what I mean? Would Nick have won? Maybe. Absolutely he could have. But I don't think he was gonna get there with Phasma. And isn't that part of it? Like, isn't taking the right deck and knowing the meta part of it?
Yep. So here's what I want to do, actually. Just came up with this. I want to do like a best of a whole bunch of games. Like a lot of games where they each have to bring 4 different decks. I don't know. They best of 3 each round. And once you win with a deck, it's out. And then like the winner of that is the best player in the world.
Yeah, grudge match.
Yeah. But it'd be like
Yeah.
a 12-hour event with just the 2 of them. I'm not sure they're up for the live stream 12-hour event.
Yeah, we could do it over the course of a couple weeks, and like Joe could get first pick, and then Taxter could pick the deck against that, and then Taxter could get a pick, and Joe picks the deck against that. Yeah, it'd be crazy. We've had grudge matches in other games before, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So let's see how things go between now and Worlds, and then maybe next summer we can get it cracking.
I mean, if Joe wins Nova, then Joe's the best. But I will say this though: does it make you the best to identify the best deck in one meta and dominate that meta? That's really the question. For me, Joe will really distinguish himself after Empire at War drops, and he's able to identify the best deck in that meta and dominate that meta as well. I would say he's the number one player of this current meta.
Yeah, I mean, we've already been talking a long time. I don't want to like get too deep into it, but like the 4-character deck in the Awakenings meta was insane, and he was really good at it. So I know he didn't get to go to Worlds, but you can't fault people for not getting to go to Worlds. I didn't get a ticket. You didn't get a ticket.
No one did anything with that deck at Worlds, man.
3 people were in the top 20.
Oh, we're reaching down to the top 20. There were like 26 people at Worlds, man.
I mean, if you're going to discredit it, I'm going to come back with that.
All right, before we get too angry here, I say we move on.
All right, sounds good.
Let's talk about the blue spoilers that came down, and let's just pick a couple favorites. Let's see, where do I have the blue spoilers here? Right here, I think. Oh, no, I don't even have them there. Okay, cool.
Go to SW Destiny. I'll go first.
All right. You go first.
Ready?
Yes, I am ready.
I don't know if this came out in the article yesterday or if it came out at... I don't know when this came out, but I haven't talked about it yet. And I think... I want to talk about the Seventh Sister. Is that okay with you?
I guess. That wasn't one I had in mind, but you can do it.
Is that too old? When did that come out? Was it at Gencon?
Yeah, that was at Gencon. That's fine. You can buck the trend, man. Whatever.
Well, all right. I just want to say something briefly. Is that...
I like Phasma. Like, I think that new Phasma spoiler from Awakenings looks awesome.
I was going to do that joke, but...
I beat you.
So what I want to say about the Seven Sisters is that we look for like value, like inherent value at a low cost, and for 11 points you get 2 dice. The second die is not amazing, but it's not terrible to get 2 dice at 11 for 10 health. Yeah. So I think that's a really, really interesting design. So I think like that's one that I think is really interesting. I think we're looking for things that are above the curve, and that's it. 2 dice for 11 points or 3 dice for 14 points. Like that's strong, even if the die is weak, because the die, it still has, a melee side, focus side, disrupt side, discard side, shield side. It can be decent. A resource side would have put it like way over the top, but I like Seven Sister for that reason.
Her sides are almost Dooku sides as well. At a melee, 2 melee, 1 disrupt, a shield, and a resource. Like she's basically Dooku.
Well, Dooku has a 2 discard side, which can be insane at the right time.
It costs $1, so.
But it can be insane at the right time.
Yeah, it certainly can be. But like you said, being able to throw that Seeker Droid in, and then you have the opportunity to do crazy things where you actually play a couple Seeker Droids, and now that second die is freaking crazy good. So I don't know.
Yeah, and like say what you want, but like even if you didn't want to go back that far, she's better than all the blue spoilers that came out in the article yesterday. So
maybe I'm gonna talk about I think the one that's most intriguing to me, which is Hate. 1 cost blue villain with redeploy. After you activate attached character, you may deal it a damage to another character. If the meta slows down at all, which it won't, but if it did, that's really cool to be able to have like 2 of these floating around with some hunker downs and with backup muscles, and you got 2 backup muscles and 2 of these going, and that's 4 damage a turn without rolling dice. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and you like putting 2 on this guy. Do you know, like, if the first one kills him, you can't do the second damage, right? Because you have to order them.
I would assume so, yeah.
But you still get to redeploy. Like, you still get to do things like you kill your guy, move them over, activate your other guy, do 2 more damage, backup muscle, and you do 4 damage without even having to resolve a die.
Yeah. Imagine this in a deck with like 4 characters, 2 troopers, with endless ranks, and like just extending that game as long as possible, and just hate, and your opponent's just like, what the heck is happening here?
Yeah, the endless ranks and passing them back and forth is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm really, really intrigued by Hate, and on its own is not good, but Hate gives you that like glimpse of what if there is going to be some sort of direct damage meta. I mean, we already have a bunch of cards that can do that. I'm already forgetting the name of it. The Fight Dirty does it. The one where you discard all your upgrades to do it. Like,
Armed to the teeth.
Armed to the teeth. Like, there's stuff there already that was just a little bit behind. And you throw hate in the mix? I don't know, man. Maybe we get there.
Yeah, and then obviously we've only seen a few upgrades out of Empire at War. Like, there's 21 rares and 3 legendaries that haven't been spoiled. Maybe 2 legendaries that haven't been spoiled because the Houndstooth is sadly legendary, I think.
Wow.
But
I didn't even see that one yet.
Yeah,
kind of so busy.
It's
I
because
forgot to look at it.
It's under a drink somewhere because it's that bad.
Yeah, I heard someone say like, "Oh, Houndstooth spoiled," and it was awful, and I was like, "Whatever, okay, I'm busy."
Yeah, it's just a
Gen
coaster. Man, now I lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was going to say. What were you talking about?
All right, but
yeah, I mean, if there's a way to get shields, regular, like if there's just a deck where you can keep putting shields on your guy with hate, like there's just so many upgrades that haven't been spoiled. Who knows what's going to be possible with hate?
Yep. All right, pick one more, man. We can talk about one more before we head out.
Can we talk about one of my favorite beings in the galaxy, Ahsoka Tano?
No, she's too old.
Too old?
Just kidding. Of course we can.
Jesus.
Everyone loves Ahsoka.
Yeah, so I have feelings for Ahsoka that I don't have for any other human on Earth.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm sort of setting myself up for like major disappointment.
Especially since she was so young when she started. I hope these feelings are like paternal feelings.
I'm very confused.
You're like, that 8-year-old Jedi
sort of
wielding Ahsoka is a really hot number. It's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, they're definitely not. They're not romantic feelings.
Okay, good. I'd be worried.
But I mean, so one of the things I like about her is one of the things about Poe, is that we can build around him where we don't need any resources. And if you can do that with Ahsoka and only use your resources to stand her back up, like, she can do some busted stuff. 2x for her damage size.
Yeah, not
is
bad.
Pretty good. Or if we have some way of making a lot of money, like if her partner can use Obi-Wan's journal to like help generate resources, I think that there's a lot of space for her to be very, very strong. And 11 health for 13 points and 2 damage sides. You can win the roll a lot with her. I think she's really strong, and I think she could be really, really good if the meta slows down and if we can find some way to consistently get resources. And she's a good natural pair for like a 3-character Rey deck too. I think there's a lot of space for her to be good.
Yeah, I really like her at 1 die plus a really awesome upgrade. I think that would be a really great spot for her, like a Riot Baton or something.
Yeah, if they make a hero Riot Baton.
Right. See, I have not played any hero decks at all, so I forget that Riot Baton's filling all the... You know what I mean?
She's probably... I mean, Luke's lightsaber's really good. And one of the things I was thinking is that, like, she works really well with, like, Padawan and Rey. So you can use... Like, you can get a weapon on her, but then use the discounted cost for Padawan or the action cheating with Rey when you start overwriting those to not use your resources that you would use for Ahsoka, right? Maybe your first turn you pay cheaper to get something on a Padawan, and you get another resource, and you get that ambush weapon on Rey, and then you use Rey to overwrite to get action cheating, and then you use the actual resources that you generate each turn, and maybe with a journal to stand Ahsoka up. I don't know if that's good enough, but it's just sort of where my head went when I was trying to figure out what to talk about.
I feel like Ahsoka is typical hero. Like, looks cool, could be good, but villains are just going to have something more efficient. That's what worries me, that Ahsoka is going to be like Obi-Wan or something. Like, Obi-Wan's awesome. If villains didn't have all these insane, efficient plays, Obi-Wan would be great. But I'm just worried that Ahsoka's going to fit there. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Ahsoka's amazing, because
at least cool. Ahsoka's well costed. You know what I mean? Obi-Wan's way too expensive for what he did. So you get this low-costed character, and then you have a bunch of zero-cost events in Blue Hero that are excellent. caution, guard, which would be excellent with her.
Yeah.
So to do all these things to keep her alive and allow you to stand her up for a couple turns.
Yeah.
If you compare that with other good damage output, like keeping a vibro knife on Rey and having like just some great weapon on, a Padawan, I think you can get there.
Yep. The card I want to talk about is Lightsaber Pull. This is really exciting to me. Spot a blue character for 0. Search your deck for a blue weapon. Reveal it. Add to your hand. Shuffle deck. I really am excited to see a card like this, especially for blue heroes. It is neutral, but blue heroes desperately needs some way, like a guarantee to get stuff going on the Padawan or Ahsoka or Rey. Like they need a way to do this, and I really like Lightsaber Pull.
Yeah, coming from a game like Star Wars CCG where you can pull like 20 things a turn,
yeah, exactly.
I love pullers. They make you feel like you're good. Like they make you more efficient. They get the card that you want.
Yep.
My concern is 2 things. One is that the meta is too fast for you to be playing weapons on your characters that can't redeploy or don't have a massive effect.
Lightsaber.
Right, lightsaber's okay, and then but that costs 3.
Costs 3.
So
Yep.
So when is this going to be good? You have to do mulligan for it. I guess it gives you like an additional mulligan target, and if you hit the weapon you really want, then you just use it as a reroll, which is great. Obviously thins your deck and gets you to the cards that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot of good there. I would like the game to slow down so we can do things like this and have it be awesome, like Awakenings was, and not just like, oh, the game's over round 2. Good thing I just spent 3 for a weapon on a character who died and then gave it to another guy and he died too before I got to use it.
I got to roll it once. I just didn't get to resolve it.
I like pullers. I think that bringing pullers into the game is going to be sweet if done sparingly.
Yeah.
But looking at the set right now, if things are as fast as they've been, like, all right, I pulled my lightsaber, retreat.
Yeah.
All right, I'll claim. I'll discard my lightsaber.
I thinned my deck.
Like,
I got there. I thinned my deck.
Got it. I'm like, I love it, and I think people who are playing for fun are gonna have a blast getting the lightsabers. The fact that it's neutral and you can get the Inquisitor's lightsaber, which is like crazy good. Like you can do a lot of cool things with it, and I think people will have a blast playing it. But I try and think about things competitively, and if that's the case, I'm not a fan.
All right, let's each talk about one card that kind of disappoints us from a competitive standpoint. Since you may not have picked one yet, I'm going to go first.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the Grand Inquisitor. I love the Grand Inquisitor. I like the bad guys. Rebels is an awesome show. The Grand Inquisitor was done very well. I was really excited to see him. And I know this is going to be controversial. He looks like garbage to me. He's 14-19, so he's more than New Vader. And to me, his sides are worse than New Vader. So why would I play a guy that costs 2 more to have worse sides? I don't understand. Help me out here, Mike.
Yeah, I agree. Like he's just not as good as Little Vader at all. The 12 health is sweet. I do appreciate that he's costed well, 14-19. Gives him some nice pairings.
Mm-hmm.
But and the two focus is sick.
Yeah.
But like are we ever going to get an 11-point pairing for him that makes the 4-die combination good? Like, do you want to put Bala with this guy? No. Do you want to put Cena Ree with this guy? No. Like,
her name is China Rey.
It is?
That's what I call her. And Dooku's like the one guy where you're like, 11, but then it's just 3 dice. Like I don't think that's worth it.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think they went way out of their way to, make all the Rebels characters because people love it. And that's great. But in terms of competitiveness, I don't think he's cutting the mustard here.
All right.
So, do you want mine still?
Yeah. Of course I want yours.
Well, I would love to say that Kanan was a big disappointment, and he might be. But he's probably fine because 10 points is sweet. But can I talk about training remote for a second?
Sure.
I don't know about you, but when I saw The Force Awakens and Finn pulled out that training remote, I was like, yeah, training remote, what's up? That's sick. And then all that training remote hype just got flamed when I saw this card. Cost 1.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 2 for a resource cost, blank, blank. You may resolve the modifier sides on this die to modify any symbol of one of your blue character dice. So it has to be a blue die, which is like always super frustrating when they make you pair something with a certain die because people miss it all the time, and it's going to cause a lot of problems for people who are trying to like make their vibro knife do too.
True.
And like you could say like, oh, this is going to make resource sides amazing.
Yep.
And it would be if they didn't make that plus 2 cost 1.
Yeah.
Because, like, just give us that 1 in 16 that it's going to be busted, that it taught us something that we never would have learned from any other training remote. But, like, why are you putting this in your deck? It makes me so sad. Because if you're going to do this, just play Obi-Wan's Journal.
I will say this. I actually like this card if the meta was really slow. Like, it'd have to be really slow meta. And then I like it.
I'm up for anything that's going to get us more resources, but that fourth side, the plus 2 for 1, it's just like...
It has 3 blanks, Mike.
Man.
Mike, it's got 3 blanks. That's just how you got to look at this card.
What's the flavor there? Like, like, at what part of the training program did I have to pay? Like, did I have to put in another quarter?
No, this is how it works. The blanks are when it shoots you and you missed. And the plus 1 is when you accidentally deflected into Chewbacca and he mangles you.
Yeah, like I'd rather have that. I'd rather have it no blank sides and its special be like take 1 damage.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
It would have been amazing, but like this plus 2 for a resource, like that doesn't even make sense, Tiny.
Yeah.
Yep. And having it do 1 damage to you would have been busted. No blank sides, but if you roll the bottom 2, you take a damage.
Yeah, that would have been cool. That would have been really
way
cool.
more balanced.
Yeah, I would have liked that.
Come
has
on,
like
Lucas.
A blood symbol under it. Oh, that'd be so cool. Yeah, I agree. I think training. I seriously though, if the meta was slow enough, I kind of like it. It's so flexible, lets you do whatever you want. Like in Awakenings, early Awakenings, this would have been a great card. Oh, I get an extra focus, awesome. Oh, I get an extra resource, awesome. But as the meta has consistently sped up, I don't think there's any way to play this card, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just don't think it does anything better than Journals of Obi-Wan. I think any of the sides that you really want to modify, the journal can do, and when the journal misses, you can at least draw a card.
Yeah. Yep, that may be true. But the journal dies with its holder. The training remote goes on.
Fine. Fair enough.
I just want to say one more thing about the spoilers before we move on, because I was reading the Hyperloops today, and it said that Kanan Jarrus is really good, and I almost fell out of my chair because at 10-13, he is more expensive than Rey. How could you ever justify playing him over Rey?
So today was the first day of school, and I was in meetings all day, so I can't speak for what Joe and Nick wrote on those. I have not seen them. I don't know what they did.
Sure.
But I stand behind them 100%.
Oh, but you just said you didn't think he was good.
I mean, I don't, but I'm not the greatest card evaluator in the world, I guess. When they're new.
That's fair.
But and then maybe I have like a proclivity for just like liking Kanan because I like the Rebels and I like the comic book. It was good.
Yeah. The funny thing for me is if we didn't have Rey, I'd be like, oh,
yeah,
cool.
So many things would be good.
Yeah, he's really pretty solid. And then you're just like, okay, I got to have Rey or this guy. I mean, what am I, stupid? Obviously, I'm taking Rey.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that first set just has some like super overpowered stuff that until it rotates out and we get a new game, like essentially a 2.0.
Yeah.
We're always going to be looking at things through the lens of like, well, this is never going to be better than Rey, and this is never going to be better than FN. This is never going to be better than, Sith Lord Vader or Anakin. There's so many good cards out there right now that, and especially the way the game is designed, where you have these very few points to put together a team, that characters just always are going to be compared to one another, and if you don't hang even in the least bit, then they're just not good. And it also like prohibits design space because another blue 10-13 would be great, but you just gave this one mixed damage sides. Like, all right, thanks.
I gotta say this. I know this can sound really funny. I can't wait till the first 2 sets rotate out, and they're all we have. But I just can't wait till they rotate out. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just I'm just looking forward to everything. Like I'm just looking forward to constant changing. I'm looking forward to a new meta that isn't dominated by FN and Pomaz.
Yeah.
Just want something different.
Yep. Well, before we head out today, I want to thank some people for all their help with Gencon. Geez, I'm gonna miss so many people here, but thanks so much to our local community. A lot of players were willing to play games with me. James Stevenson, especially, drove out to my house. I drove out to meet him, and we spent a lot of hours together. Mike Rudin as well, the Rebel Spy. John Bruno always being there, supporting me, talking to me. You guys over at the Hyperloops, teaming up with you guys was really great, a lot of fun. I really remember when I was going through my dark period with the game, and I was like, I don't know if I could play this game anymore. And you and I had some hilarious chats where you were just like, I don't know what your deal is, man. Who cares if the game is broken? Let's just play the broken game and dominate it. And I was like, I don't know. So those were great. Thanks so much to you guys. And all my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Everyone on Discord, on the TTS Discord, Taxter, Elrathian, Will, all the guys that I got to play with, so great. It's that kind of stuff that makes you better, Mike, right? It's like playing daily with great players is how you become great.
Yeah, absolutely. The games against good players is awesome. And then, like, just having a vested interest, having something like Gen Con to shoot for makes you so much more invested in how you're going to do. And it just makes everything you do better. That's why, that's why you need stuff like this. So, like, I mean, we're adults playing a hobby, Like, why should we treat it why should we treat this more, like, importantly than we do our family life sometimes? Because there's that competition, there's that drive to be better than the next guy or be better than the best guy. So
so there it is. And thank you, Mike, for coming on. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys over the weekend, getting to know you. I gotta say, it was really, really, really great to meet Joe in person, because I was a little worried that I might just punch him in the face when I met him. And then I got to meet him. I was like, oh, Joe's actually a really nice guy. It's just online he can be blunt is the word I'll use, and bluntness can come sometimes across as a negative quality on the internet when you don't have cues to help you out to navigate how someone's actually thinking.
Yeah, even by now I know him really well, and I still get that I want to reach through the computer and strangle him feeling sometimes. So, but he is a convivial guy, so I think he was cool with everyone who came up and said hi to him. I'm sure he's just the way he is. We all are.
Yeah, one last thank you, actually, I almost forgot. Thanks to everyone who came up and said hi to me. That was great. It was so much fun to have all these people coming up and say hi. A bunch of people wanted pictures with me. The funniest thing, though, my friend Chris and I were hanging out, and like we were trying to go have lunch, right? And I was like, all right, just a minute. And a bunch of people wanted to say hi, and then we're leaving, and someone else wants to say hi, and someone wants a picture. Okay, cool. We get out of the hall, right? Chris is like, all right, we're finally done with this ridiculousness where people think Tiny Grimes is cool. I don't know what's going on there. That's absurd. I know him. He's not. And we're like about to walk out of the convention center, and someone comes running up. Hey, man, can I get a picture with you? And I'm like, sure. And I can see Chris just like rolling his eyes like, you've got to be kidding me. This is absurd.
The mayor of Destiny Gen Con.
Exactly. So thanks so much, everybody. It made a lot of fun to meet all of you. And it was great.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I loved when people came up and said hi. I definitely wasn't as popular as you, but the few people that did come and say hi, shook my hand, told me I did well. And all the congratulations since has been really humbling, and I love it. It's just been awesome.
Yeah. And now you and Joe are going to be way more well known than me. I'm just the chump who got top 8. You guys went 1-2 as the Hyperloops.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I still think it helps to have a video that you post every week of you talking with your face and everything. Like, you didn't even recognize me when I came up and said hi.
I did not. I had no idea who you were. I was like, oh, cool, random stranger,
scrub.
what's up?
Random, extremely dashing stranger.
You were more dashing than I thought you were going to be, Mike. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
You're the most dashing of the Hyperloops.
Pictures don't do me justice, buddy.
And also... Tons of people didn't recognize me without the hat. That was great. They're just like, wait, I recognize your voice from somewhere. I'm like, yeah, I have a podcast. Like, are you that Tiny Grimes? I'm like, no, there's like 4 Tiny Grimes in this tournament. We're all related.
I hope you did your intro before every game.
Oh, I should have. I really should have.
Hi, my name's Tiny Grimes, and I'm ready for another Star Wars Destiny game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, Mike. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for having a fun partnership, and we'll see how long the Tiny Loops continues. Will we have a bitter falling out soon? Maybe.
Ooh, heel turn. Heel turns.
Taxter and I are going to team up to whoop you guys.
Oh, that would be amazing. You should do that.
All right, Taxter, you heard it. You heard it. Secretly, we're joining forces. All right. See you next time on the Smugglers Den.